And we are recording, as it seems. I'm supposed to tell you we're recording to avoid legal snags, it says. So no snags. No snags here. Okay, let me get my little script set up here. The fuck? Where'd that go? Dude, bro. Why? Why? Oh, wait, is this the wrong... That would be because that would be the wrong fucking thing. Okay. We are good to go. All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to That Pixel Life. This is episode 87 for April 13th, 2020. We are going to talk a little PS5 controller news that made the airwaves in the last week, some Gears Tactics trailer goofiness that dropped on us today, and you know us. I'm sure we'll stumble and trip over a bunch of things on our way to Animal Crossing Town. But it is going to be a lighter show today due to Easter and some other confluences. I just have one other guest with me, and that is Mr. Just-in-Time Carter.
It's the boy.
Yep. The youngster of the group, Mr. Justin Carter.
I know, not for too long. I'm going to be the big 3-0 this year. And it's all downhill from there.
Yeah, just look at me. Jesus. I had hair when I was 30. It was great.
I'm already ahead of the curve then.
Oh yeah. I mean that's kind of a lie. Mine was already on its way out, but I don't have the hairline that begins like as a perfect arch over the top of my head like I do now, you know? I've always and lucky for me though, I've always been a hat guy. Like even when I was a kid, I wore hats all the time, which, you know, might have helped the hair loss. Who knows? There's a lot of theories. But so it wasn't weird when all of a sudden I just started wearing hats all the time because I had no hair anymore. And let me tell you, sunburn on the head, it's a real thing. It's happened. It's not fun.
Yeah, mine was because my aunt is the one who like cuts our hair because she has like a salon and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the only one who's ever cut my hair besides myself. And then it's just like over the years, it's like, man, she's really cutting it really thin back there, and just convincing myself, oh yeah, no, it's just she cut it really thin. And then the way it's like, yeah, no, I have a perfect yarmulke size spot on the back of my head.
Well, at least the back of the head you can do like the Rogaine and stuff for.
Yeah,
Like if it's the hairline, you're just screwed. There's
and
nothing you can
luckily
do.
I'm tall, so most people can't see it.
Yeah. No one's looking down on you, going, "Hey, something
Yeah,
happening up there?"
yeah. All the 6'8" people know that I'm bald, but
Yeah, right. How tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
Oh wow, yeah,
But my dad's 6'8" though,
holy
and
crap.
so he's like a good head above me. So it's like a lot of times I don't feel like I'm very tall because like around him I seem short, and then around people who are like 5'8", I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I am kind of tall.
You're like I'm not tall when I'm around giants, but you know
Yeah.
when I'm around the average folk, I'm like yeah,
Go into the village.
right, yeah, and they're all holding pitchforks and torches. It's weird. I don't really understand it. I mean, they wave them in my face and I leave, so I guess I'm not wanted. Um, yeah, it's funny because I'm this 5'11", 6, depending on the shoes I'm wearing that day and how much I'm slouching. And Shannon's probably in that 5'10" neighborhood himself. Robbie's like your height. Robbie's like 6'3". Um, but it's funny though because like I'm wide. I'm a wide-bodied person, you know, and so I feel like I get treated like I'm a lot bigger than I am because I'm kind of like you. I don't view myself as that large of an individual, but it's funny because I get like kind of treated and told I am a lot. So, but I'm one of those guys that like people that knew me growing up. I was in a lot of fights, and I was like a wrestler and a football guy, and had a horrible attitude, so I fought a lot. You know, like and it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, just leave that dude alone. Just get him over there. But
So you got
yeah, it's
associated as the muscle.
yeah, totally. And like littler friends, like I'm sure that's happened
Yeah.
to you too, where like your smaller friends would totally just like talk shit and then run behind you, type thing. And you're like, I don't want to do this at all. Like, okay, all right, here we go. But yeah, like how fast did you hit 6'3"? Were you one of those people that was 6'3" at like 14, or were you?
Um, yeah, it was in high school because it was funny because like I was always really scrawny and like I mean kind of like tall, but yeah, in high school I think about like my probably like freshman or like sophomore year is like when I like shot up so fast though it's like I actually have stretch marks like on my back for
Wow.
like how fast like and I didn't know I was just like you realize you have stretch marks? I was like no. I was like because it's like middle to like lower back. I was like
Yeah.
I can't see my back like
And you're like, but these shorts that you bought me kind of suck. And your mom's like, those are pants. I bought them 4 weeks ago. Like, yeah. Um, well, it's funny because my wife's brother he's 6'8", I think. Yeah. And she always tells us kind of the same thing, just like crazy growing pains in his legs and stuff when he was like 15, when he went from 5'7" to 6'4" in like 8 months or something like that. And it's just an insane growth spurt, like out of nowhere. And yeah, like he got like there would be days where he could barely walk because his bones would just hurt.
oh man.
And I'm
It's like
like, man,
Andre the Giant over here.
yeah, yeah. Like, damn, really? But yeah, so is your dad like, does he call you tiny or any of that stuff? Being
No.
like,
One time though, cause like there's like a couple times I'm like, oh man, cause like I'll pop my mom's back sometime and stuff for her, cause I'm like almost a good like my mom comes up to about my chin, and
okay.
so I'll like pop her back and stuff, and
So,
I was
so
like,
like your mom's a pretty tall lady then too, because that
yeah,
puts her
she's not,
like in like a 5'10" ish, five
yeah,
nine
yeah,
range.
she's not
Yeah.
super short or
Yeah.
anything, and I'm like, oh man, my back's a little sore, and my dad's like, oh, I can pop it for you. I'm like, okay, and he picked me up and squeezed me, and like from the bottom of my spine all the way to the top, like it just was like pop, 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 and then everything kind of started to go like black because he was squeezing too, and he like put me back on the ground, and I like straight up just like fell on the floor in the living room, and my mom's like, yeah, I'm like.
And then all of a sudden, all the acid you took in high school started flooding back in, and you're like, oh wait, hold on, this is going all bad.
Yeah, I'm like the room's spinning.
That's now see that's something where, as an adult, I don't know if I've ever been picked up as an adult.
Yeah,
Like,
see, and I was like, my dad, I think, is one of the few people who can like pick someone up and like throw them.
yeah, because I mean, if you're 6'3", and my guess is, and you don't have to say yes or no to this, but my guess is you're somewhere in the like 180, 190 range.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and
like 188.
yeah, so to like get you up off the ground to the point where like you're just hanging there, that's a strong MFer. Like that's a
Yeah,
strong dude right there.
not even like a couple inches, like a solid like foot above the ground.
That's a tough dude. Like yeah, for sure. Shout out to the Justin's dad. Anyway, I have no idea how we even got on this topic. I just got fascinated by height for a second. Um, but yeah, so it's just us, as you can tell, and you've probably already turned it off, and I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, Shannon regretfully got stuck. They changed his work schedule through all the COVID madness, so he couldn't make it today. We were recording on a Monday, usually recording Sunday, which he could do, but it was Easter Sunday, so here we are. And got an update from Robbie. Looks like he should be back and able to record within a couple weeks here, thankfully. So we all miss Robbie, and but was talking to him a little bit yesterday, and it was good to hear that he is doing well, and was enjoying his Easter. And yesterday was a day for celebration for many, many things. None of them were religious. It was the end. It was finally Bunny Day. It was finally Bunny Day.
Yeah.
It was the end of the eggs. I mean, good Lord. I could not believe they let that event go that long. It was
I
ridiculous.
I couldn't tell you how excited I was this morning running around my village and seeing like the little fossil spots and knowing it was a fossil and not a
Yeah.
fucking earth egg.
Yeah. My son played while I was at work today. My son played a little bit, and he told me very excitedly that every fish he caught was a fish. And I'm like, yeah, it's amazing, right? When you catch fish and they're actually fish, not goddamn eggs.
You get a boot or a tire and you're excited for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you find it as asinine as I did that when Zipper showed up, he begins to explain to you like what we're gonna do, and we're gonna catch some eggs today, and da 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 da. Da. And I'm like, dude, I've been catching eggs for fucking weeks, bro. Like, you need to
You're like,
stop telling me what today is about. Like, you just
you're
need
like
to.
Nintendo had to do a patch to catch less eggs
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's too many eggs.
As my wife was like, someone scripted this and they never changed it in like 2 weeks. Like, they had time to fix this, because the whole speech was just so. It was to the point where I began to think the whole Bunny Day thing was like a troll from Nintendo completely on purpose. It was like, oh, you people really love Animal Crossing, huh? I got something that'll fix that. Just hang out for a second. I got you. And so annoying. I mean, that being said, I made everything, and then had so many eggs, I was able to pay off a bunch of my most recent loan, which is 580,000, because I just crafted dresses and outfits and stools and just sold them all. It was just like dumping them all. So
Yeah, I crafted what I could, and then the majority of my eggs, though, because I moved around all the trees on my village, I pretty much just ate a lot of the eggs because they were edible. So I'm like, all right, I don't need to waste my fruit that I can sell, so I'll just eat a
yeah.
bunch of eggs.
Oh, that was funny because I was like, I'm going to keep 6 of each egg in case they're more valuable later. I'm like, no, I'm going to throw them in a fire. Like, the last thing I want to do is see more eggs ever.
Dude, my friend Matt said he was gonna go around to people's villages who he's best friends with and just bury eggs like on their island again.
just to like, just be like, haha, you thought it was over.
Yeah, it's gonna be like June and you're still finding eggs in
Oh,
places.
that's going to be great. That's going to be great. Um, so yeah, we'll cover more Animal Crossing later. I just had to basically talk about the bliss that was the end of the goddamn Bunny Day event. I'm hoping Nintendo takes some lessons away from that, and we can learn moving forward, assuming that they weren't just trolling the living hell out of us. Um, but actual news that happened this week. Justin, did you see the PS5 controller?
I did, and I love the picture you sent in our group chat of the stormtrooper
Yeah,
helmet like attached to it.
yeah, yeah. It was a good one I found where someone took the controller, turned it upside down, and then added a stormtrooper head to the top of it, and it worked incredibly well. Um, but yeah, the so it. What were your initial thoughts on it? Because it's interesting.
I it's weird because I was looking on Twitter and stuff when they announced it, and some people were kind of like they didn't like it or thought it was ugly. Like I didn't think it was really that bad. It's like you said, it looks like a mix kind of between the Xbox One controller and just a normal DualShock 4 controller.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, it absolutely has that. It has that look of what did I say, the bastard child of an Xbox One
Yeah.
controller and a DualShock 4, because it really appears that it has that rounded look of an Xbox controller where the DualShocks have the handles seem to come like straight down from the sides, where this really has the curve of an Xbox controller. The touchpad in the middle seems enormous to me.
Yeah. What I was wondering too was because I only ever saw the one picture of the front. Did they ever show like the back of it or anything?
They showed it laying down, and it looked like the R1 and R2 had texture to the triggers,
Hmm.
which is good, and it has a straight up and down R2, not the curved like the 3 did, which was awful. Um, so it and USB-C charging was the other thing that
Okay.
the other angle showed, but they didn't show the back of it at all.
Because yeah, I was wondering if they were, if it wasn't gonna just auto be attached, if it was maybe gonna be included with like the one controller that comes with the console. Because I know for the PS4 they released that one attachment thing for the controller for the back, the
Oh
little.
yeah, yeah, the
So
paddles, right?
yeah, I was
Yeah.
wondering if they were gonna like try to push that by like adding it in or attaching it on or where
It,
it's gonna go with that.
that's actually a really good point because that's an assumption I made when that came out. I, to be honest, I totally forgot that existed. Um, but yeah, it's a assumption I made when that came out was like, oh, I bet the DualShock 5, which was what I was thinking at the time, is totally going to have paddles, and these are a thing that would make your 4 controller compatible with the new system. Was what I was assuming, but they're not. They haven't mentioned anything about paddles, and no one's talked about it. So my guess is it doesn't, which is weird. But maybe it has a port for that thing to work on it as well.
Well, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Maybe then, like, if it's not auto attached, that like bundled with the console, you get your little controller, the console, little paddle
Mhm.
thing, little shitty headset.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's speaking of headsets. That was the one thing I thought, which was interesting, was they built a microphone right into the controller. Um, Now they were quick to say in the blog entry introducing the controller that you're still going to want to have a headset for longer conversations or longer gaming sessions. It's more having the microphone is more quick, able to tell something real fast and move on. Um, I'm just hoping that's a microphone that is not live, like out, like if everyone programs that to not be live from the start, like you actually have to turn it on.
It's like that's just what you want. It's just everyone like shouting and like not
Yeah.
knowing. Like turn off your and with it on the case like banging the controller against the leg. You just
Right.
hear like boom, boom, boom.
Or you're in my house and you're just hearing my children screaming
Yeah.
constantly, like
Dude, well,
just
I love that one where it's like what was it, the 7 people who were on Xbox Live, and then it was like the ones like the person vacuuming in the background, it's like and then the ones like someone blasting like music on their phone like
yeah.
right on their lap, and it's like all shitty LimeWire sounding like
LimeWire. Nice.
yeah.
I got it from BearShare. Yeah, no, it's I kind of like the idea though of having a microphone just built in because it's one of those things where there have been times playing, like Apex or something, where if I don't want to pull out a headset just to be like, look, let's just jump over here, like just go, because I'm not a big chatter in game anyway, so for I could see myself using it in those type of situations for like just quick tactical, like okay, look, we're gonna go to this point, just go there, and then turn it off. Um, but at the same time, I'm curious to see how that's implemented. What's your thoughts on the white design of it?
See, as someone who has 4 dogs and
Mm-hmm.
everything gets dusty within like 2 hours, I
Yeah.
prefer black stuff over white just because well, even with black, I mean it just looks dusty as hell anyway, but I think it's easier, like there's not as much like smudging, like whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're
Mm-hmm.
playing like and your hands sweat and you get that black dead skin tar
Yeah.
crap
Yeah.
all on the, and it's like I always feel bad like I had a white 360 controller, it's like, oh, like hands it someone, it's like it has like the gunky crap, I'm like, oh sorry, like you're
Yeah.
like vigorously like
Let me
rubbing
clean
it.
that. Let me clean that real fast. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like, sure, you should be cleaning your controllers anyway, Justin. But
Wow.
to your point, I've had white plastic things, stain over time, or just like the. I guess I'm trying to find the right, like the crispness of the white
Yeah,
fades
it
in a
gets
way
like
that,
scuffed and stuff
yeah.
too. Like sometimes like get banged or dropped on the ground from like your
Mhm.
lap or something. You go to stand up and it falls and then it gets like a nice black scuff mark or something down the side of it.
Yeah, like my original Xbox One S controller I gave to my son with the white one. And it worked until it didn't, and he wasn't nice to controllers. Let's just be fair. He was 5, and it was a learning experience for him. Because I had my Elite, and he wasn't going to touch that thing. So that and I'm usually pretty good about staying on top of cleaning and everything, but man, after a couple months of him just playing with that controller, and it's not like he was throwing them or being abusive to it or anything, it looked rough. Like just that white plastic that it was looked beat up in a way that so I got him a blue one for Christmas, and that thing still looks clean as hell. White just shows damage, and it shows, like you said, scuffing and all that stuff. So I'm I'm curious to see if they make the same material choice that Xbox did with their white controllers, or if they're maybe they found a better plastic to make their shell out of or something. Who knows? But
Right.
but yeah, I also don't know if I like the like black and white design of it. Like it's a weird choice with the light bar around the touchpad and then like the black bottom, making it looks like it's wearing some weird overalls or suspenders or something.
See, I don't know. Your boy is a fan of black and white, if
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yeah, I do know that. I do know that. Get your negative space custom edition
Exactly.
controller, but and tank tops. So hey, look, the controller looks like it's wearing a tank top.
Yeah,
It's
it was
black and
made
white.
just for me.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Did you design this controller? Did I just stumble across something?
They saw some of the videos from the podcast.
Right? They're like, we need to get this man in here. We need to get him in making controllers. Um, I don't know if I like the all white buttons. Like I kind of I'm not the biggest Sony person. I mean, I've had every one of their systems, so it's not like I'm not a Sony person. But I'm saying I'm not usually like nostalgic for Sony, but there's something about like, the green triangle and the red circle and all that, like buttons, and to not have them on like the first run of a console edition seems weird.
Well, see, that's the thing is they'll do like what they did with the DualShock, where they did the what was it? The place they made the DualShock, the classic PlayStation, the gray color.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, is if they'll do that, they'll just resell it to you for $70 if you
Oh,
want.
totally, totally. And like I've seen mock-ups where someone made one like all black, basically like DualShock 4 black with the colored buttons. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I liked it better. I did. But also, do you think the controller's speaking to you anything about the system design? Like, are we going to be getting a white PlayStation 5 or a black and white PlayStation 5 or
Well, if I remember correctly, those pictures, the supposed of like the dev kit, whatever thing, the
Mhm.
with the pizza slice of pizza warmer thing in the
Yeah,
middle,
yeah.
I think those were white, if I remember right.
Mhm. And part of me wants those like that dev kit design to be the real thing. Like, I want some crazy looking fucking system. Like, Microsoft is giving me a tiny computer tower is basically what the new Xbox is. And there's something about consoles. I like give me a GameCube with a handle, like give me something neat looking. And
Dude, I was like, the GameCube was virtually indestructible, just like the original Xbox.
right, yeah. But I thought the 360 had a really good look to it. And I liked the original George Foreman grill PS3. Like I thought that was sweet, like with the big curved lines on it. I thought that was really cool. I actually didn't like the relaunch of the three when they made them small.
Oh, the Slim?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the one I have because I got on the PS3 train a little later.
See, I picked up was it the Konami edition PS3 when shit was it Metal Gear 4, 3? One of them when they launched that because it had the 80 gig hard drive in it instead of the 60 gig hard drive. You get an 80 gig in the Konami edition. So that's the one I got. But I always dug it. I always thought it was a really cool look, and for it to so for if they just wheel out another rectangular square box like the Xbox, I'm gonna be bummed. I think.
Dude, that's like so crazy to think though that 80 gig hard drive was like a lot.
Oh,
Like,
cavernous. It was just
yeah.
like, woo, man, I can put so much on this. It's crazy.
That's like I remember when my dad for work had to buy a flash drive, and if
Hmm.
he bought like it was a 1 gig flash drive,
Yeah.
and it was like like purple and like kind of clear, and he paid like $50 or something insane for that
Oh
one
yeah.
gig. And that's like when we were still using floppy disks like at my house for storage.
Man. Dude, I remember being in college and I went and bought an internal zip drive. So I replaced the floppy drive on my tower with a zip drive bay. And it was at the time ridiculously expensive, but also damn cool. Cause, like what were zip drives? 80 megs or something like that. No, 700. Well, Jazz Drive was a gig. So I want to say a zip drive was like 80 megs or something like that. And but no, like I had like entire semesters worth of class things on this one disc that I could take back and forth and like to labs and stuff, and it was like insanely cool and stupid as hell, but like yeah, when you think about that now, where it's like, oh, I've sent emails with more stuff attached to them than that stupid disc had on it. uh it's insane to me.
Well, yeah, it's like I have a HP 500 gig like external hard drive, and it's one of those where you have to actually plug it into a wall, and then it has
Mm-hmm.
another cord plug to plug into it, and like you plug it in, and there's like a little fan going on. It's like,
Yeah.
and it's like the size of like a Wii U.
Right, right. And now it's like, oh, give me $18. Here's an enclosure you slap around an old laptop drive, and there you go. It works. Just plug it in. It's fine. Um, yeah, it's which hey, by the way, if you're like me and are using this time to clean up a bunch of stuff, totally invest in one of those old hard drive enclosures, because I have a stack of old laptops sitting out in my garage that I've been ripping the hard drives out of and just discovering the treasures held within those old computers. Um, I had a lot of music downloaded at one point in my life, you guys. Like, holy crap. Just insane amounts of MP3s.
Dude, I will say as much as like there's like Spotify now and YouTube
Mm-hmm.
Music, but I do miss actually having my iPod because
Yeah,
on my home computer I probably have almost a terabyte of music, and I mean a lot of it is techno,
yeah,
but with all like with techno there's of course like the original mix, extended mix, club mix, trap, whatever,
totally.
and there's certain versions that I love and grew up with that I have on my home computer that I try to find on Spotify and stuff, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like I'll start listening to it and I'm like, that's not quite right, that's not the quite right version that I want to listen to, and it's like, man, I wish I just had my 160 gig iPod back.
They're like, that's 115 beats per minute. I need the 133 version. What is this?
Dude, well, it was funny because I had my that iPod for the longest time, and it like started to crap out, but it was funny because uh it was doing this thing where the hard drive was messing up, and I had my playlists and stuff, but then you could click
Mm-hmm.
on like the like recently listened to or like
Sure,
whatever,
yeah.
and there was a bunch of music in there that I hadn't listened to that it was saying that I did. So
Uh,
it was funny because it was like, even though it was messed up, it was like unbeknownst to itself creating this playlist for me of like shit that I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like I didn't listen to this, but now it's like
yeah,
every time I turn it on, it's like a new playlist was being created.
right. You're like, oh, sweet. Thank you, iPod.
And I was like, I
I've,
haven't listened to this song in a while. I was like, all right.
like, I've got a new workout playlist. This is amazing. Um, oh yeah, like I found a. It's funny you just say techno because it made me think. When I was 22, so let's call it 20 years ago, a friend of mine was just getting into being a happy hardcore DJ,
Uh-huh.
and she made a mix that was like a home recording of her playing records. And it's funny because like you hear like the microphone dropping as she's like setting stuff down and stuff as she's changing things around. But it was like one of those things where A, it was pretty decent, it was pretty good, and B, like it totally in that instant, like I was all the way back there. Like, just
Yeah.
being like, oh, I remember when she did that, and it was awesome, and we played the hell out of it because it was like the coolest thing any one of our friends did for like, a good couple months. And it was just, and yeah, like the same thing where like I probably haven't listened to that in easily a decade, easily, but and thought I was gone forever, but like here it was on this random hard drive I pulled out of a laptop, and it was awesome. It was like such a great, archaeological discovery of mine. But good times, good stuff.
Wait,
um
I was like, did I ever tell you about how I got my home computer?
no.
All right, so my home desktop is from like 2000. I want to say maybe like 9 or 10. Like it is old
Okay.
as shit. But like when we were living at this apartment and stuff, it's like I wanted like a home computer that we
Hmm.
could all use and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I was like, but we don't have like we just moved into the apartment and stuff, and so all the down deposits. I was like, I don't have a
Sure.
lot of money to like spend on a computer right now. And my parents' neighbor was like, hey, well, my brother has had this computer. You can have it. I just want you to go on it, and if you can get any family photos or whatever off of it,
Hmm.
just give them to me, and then you can just keep the computer. So I was like, all right, cool. So she brought me like the computer, and I was like, oh, I was like, why doesn't he want it anymore? And she's like, oh, well, he's dead. So I'm like,
Oh.
oh, okay, well, I'm like,
Oh.
uh, and I was like, oh, that's a shame. I was like, how did he die? And she's like, well, he was stabbed to death in prison. And I was like, all right. And so, unbeknownst to me, her brother was. If you ever watched Sons of Anarchy,
Yeah.
he was Sons of Anarchy. Like
Oh,
he was
like
in a
the motorcycle. Yeah.
motorcycle gang, like dealing drugs, like doing whatever, and apparently like had like a hit put on him in prison and got murdered.
Jesus.
But
Jesus.
his computer on the back, you can tell where there was obviously like a second hard drive that is not there
Uh,
anymore. So I'm like, I guarantee you his house got raided or something. He like
yeah.
ripped that hard drive out and like destroyed it. And as I was like going through, I did not find any family photos on that computer, but I did find some like Klansman music. And I was like,
Oh,
all right, I'm like, so we're gonna completely factory wipe this computer because I don't want
yeah,
some
yeah.
racist dead like Sons of Anarchy guys shit all on my computer.
This is like a beginning of like a bad horror movie where like all of a sudden your house is now haunted by like some freaking Klansmen, like or something. But yeah, that's rough. That's I like that you were like after all that still like I'm just gonna wipe it. It'll still work. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm like, it's a free computer. I'm like,
Like why doesn't he want anymore? Oh, he's dead. He got stabbed in a prison riot. Like
yeah,
what the fuck? Like
I'm like factory resetting it wipes away all the racism that was on it.
yeah, yeah. Any traces of screwdriver are just eliminated from.
Yeah, and that's what's funny. It's like I want a new home desktop so bad, but I know no new computer I get will ever have the character that this one
Mm-mm.
has.
Did it have some like Confederate flags etched into the sides of it or anything? Or
Like if it did, that would have probably been my first clue
Yeah,
as to
yeah.
what was
There
going
you
on.
go. You're like, oh, that's the tip off. That's the tip off to the
I'm
red
like,
ball.
huh.
Well, those, those motherboards have seen some things in that system.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I guarantee you there was a Excel sheet on there at some point that kept track of who owed who money.
Oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Easily. Also, that second hard drive bay may have been holding drugs.
That's true.
It might
That
have been.
it could have been either second hard drive drug, maybe a combination of the two.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Who knows? But either way, it character. You were right there. That system has character. That's a good way of putting it. Uh, Jesus. Um, but the speaking of characters, now Justin, I know you have not seen this yet, but let me tell you a little something about the Gears Tactics trailer that dropped today. Because man, it's fun. It's
Lay it on me.
So, as we all know, Gears Tactics is a game headed soon. I'm not sure if they have a release date yet. I'm trying to see that as I'm looking. Um, oh, shit. Its release date is apparently in 2 weeks. And who knew? Um, and the trailer for it dropped today. And it is a trailer that can't really tell or they can't decide if they want it to be a Gears game or like a phone game or or something skewed towards like I don't know 13-year-old boys or not. Like it's so it opens, it tells you it's 12 years before Gears of War, which again seems silly to me because it's also from okay, they go for the tactic of like we're telling you about this 12 years before we nuked our own planet to try to stop the locusts and it didn't work. But they do that in 12 years before Gears of War. We nuked our own planet and it did like okay, the people on Sarah don't call it Gears of War. So maybe 12 years before the war or something, but like 12 years before Gears of War product placement. Um, so yeah, it's 12 years before all that. They've nuked the planet, or locusts have emerged, and you're a new character, Sergeant Diaz, and you're going around, recruiting people to take out Ukon, who looks kind of like a General Rom type character from the first game, and he's in charge of a whole bunch of locusts that are wrecking a whole bunch of stuff, and it looks very much like graphically in the cutscenes that they're showing that are obviously cutscenes because it's a tactics game. It looks very much like a Gears 5 level. Looks very pretty. Things look very nice. And they splice in just a few tactics looking windows, and but it happens so fast that it makes me think they either are trying to trick people in that don't necessarily know what tactics games are, but know what Gears is, because it appears like you can say you're taking control of like if you're moving around the map and you're attacking someone, it looks like you can take direct control of that attack. And when you do, it looks very Gears of War-ish. Like you're behind the person, shooting, throwing grenades, all that stuff in your attack window. Um, and that's the part they show a lot in the trailer. Not the 100-foot view of the map and the little dude moving around. It's zoom, zoom. Like that's the piece they cut, which seems very, very weird to me. And also in the middle of it, they say no microtransactions, which also seems a little worrisome to me. Like, so you're telling me you think this game should have microtransactions, or it's built like it should, or
It had microtransactions in the test audience.
And there it is. And I think you just hit it. Like it had microtransactions, and they were like, "Oh, we got to get that out of there." Um, but yeah, like it just cracks me up how they're like, no microtransactions, crazy customizations, like all these options. And it's like, yeah, but what about the game? Like, what is the game fun? Like, what do you do in the game? But I guess it's hard to sell, uh, an XCOM style game in an exciting way when it's really like, yep, you're going to be looking from the top down a lot and moving pieces on a
Yeah.
chessboard, and
You're going to be sitting there for 5 minutes staring at the screen trying to figure out what you
yeah,
want to do.
I suppose that doesn't make the most exciting trailer in the world, but I'll tell you what does, Justin, is when at the last, I guess, 20 seconds of the trailer or so, they just decide to say fuck it and start swearing all over the time. Or, out of nowhere in the middle of the trailer, one of the guys like, "Come on, you shitheads." And it's like, wait, really? This is like the official trailer? And then to follow it up, so they've been putting up these little like splashes of like, you know, crazy customizations, no microtransactions, like kick-ass weapons and all this stuff. And then there's a shot of a Brumac like bursting through a wall, screaming at you or whatever, and it goes, "Oh shit, moments." That is legitimately in this thing. Text that says "oh shit moments" as like a thing to encapsulate you to come or entrance you to come try this product. Did that work? Did it declaring that it have "oh shit moments" work for you? Are you now in?
See, to me, it sounds like it's like the guy who made the trailer. It's like for his reference, they were like, here's this Borderlands 3 trailer, and then here is a montage of fake commercials from Rick and Morty. Combine these together and make our game trailer.
Yes, I
That's
like.
what it sounds like, where it's like, you better Marcus down your Phoenix, Gears of War.
Kind of. I'm not even kidding. Like it's, and they totally allude to Marcus Phoenix being in the game when the like,
He's
yeah,
like 20. Like at the end of the game, he comes in joining. He's like, "Oh boy, the gears!"
which would actually be kind of awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
You get to
uh,
see how he gets that scar.
right? Uh, Marcus gets his bandana. Um, but no, like it's it just is. I think it's a. I think it's hilarious, and B. It kind of bummed me out because I'm actually looking forward to this game. Like I really do like the Gears games, even though they're silly in a lot of ways, but they're also really fun. And I like tactics games. Final Fantasy Tactics is one of my all-time favorite games. Like I really am. I do like me and XCOM and things of that thing. Shit, the Nintendo one. What was the
Fire
Rabbids?
Emblem?
No, the
Oh,
Rabbids.
Mario and the Rabbids.
Yeah, Mario versus Rabbids or whatever it was, but like that game was shockingly awesome. Like I did not expect anything from that game, and it totally killed. So yeah, I'm kind of all over Gears Tactics games, but this just struck me as they have no idea how to pitch it at all. Like at all.
Is it? Do you know? Is it going to be a Game Pass game?
It is. It is. So April 28th I will be downloading it because
I'm almost wondering if it say it did have microtransactions, but then when it made to Game Pass or whatever, that they didn't need microtransactions anymore. So they're like, all right.
well, and you also got to think when because I think this game was announced like 2 or 3 E3s ago,
Yeah, it was
and
announced around with the Funko Pop Gears game.
yeah, and so you got to imagine just the gaming landscape business wise has changed a lot since then. So microtransactions became like an industry norm, and I'm sure along the way the growing popular sentiment was get that shit the hell away from our games, and I mean, maybe a lot of that insane customization that you can do is now used to be microtransacted and now it's not, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Like, get the battle pass today.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, but yeah, I mean, is that something you'd be interested in playing, like a proper Gears Tactics game, or?
I would probably check it because I'm also a huge Gears of War fan,
Hmm.
and I like like I never really got into. I tried XCOM and stuff, and it was fun, but never just really got involved in it. But I was always more of like Fire Emblem and Advanced Wars, and I
Sure.
also
Yeah.
enjoyed like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and stuff
Hmm.
like that. I was hardcore into that.
Uh, did did you try the Mario versus Rabbids game?
Yes, I
Yeah.
I I have I got maybe halfway. I It's one of those where I need to go back and finish it because I think I got to like the third world. It gets hard.
Mhm.
That shit
That was
does
what I was
not
just
play
about to say.
around.
Like that game is something you have a lot of fun with until about halfway through the third world, and all of a sudden that difficulty spike just jumps, and it's like I I don't even know what to do. Like holy shit! Like I'll fully admit I looked up guides. Like I was just like obviously I don't have the right team or I'm not spec'd right or something. Like I I'm so in the weeds on this, and once I've read a few guides and figured out, okay, I actually need to like spec guys and plan for these things in a certain way. It took me a couple battles to realize what I was looking for, and it started to smooth out again for me. But yeah, there was a moment there where I was just like, I've lost like 5 times in a row. I don't even know what to do here.
Yeah,
Like,
there was a couple of the challenges and stuff that you come across because I was trying to do all the challenges too, and there was one where it's like, yeah, you need to like win or get over to here in like 3 moves, and I'm like, how?
mhm.
And I
Yeah,
had to look up a YouTube video, and yeah, you have to position this person here and do this to lure this person here for them to knock you like over the river to get. And I was like, what?
yeah, yeah.
Like, how would I have figured that out?
Yeah, and I'm always impressed when I see those videos because I'm like, how did this person figure it out?
I was
Like,
like, I almost think it was just been sheer luck that you're in this position this year, and
yeah,
they just happened to hit you over.
and it was like, oh, that worked. Um, yeah, no, but I'm a fan of those games. So we should all get on board because when Robbie gets back to his house, we're finally going to beat Gears 5. He's been dragging his feet on it forever. And I told him, like, I keep telling him the ending of Gears 5 is really good and it's like pretty impressive, and you just need to beat it to see it. And so I finally got him. You should join us in that endeavor. You
Yeah,
should.
I also need to beat Gears 5, so I
What?
would
What is?
totally. I know.
Ah, just
I know, and I got past the whole riding through the snow on the scrim part. I
uh,
got past that shit, and yet I know.
you're in the desert now.
I think so. I'm in like Act 4. Like
Okay, so
I'm
you're in the
toward
yeah, you're in the desert then.
yeah,
I
I
just
know. I know. I'm also but it's the same thing where it's like me and my fiance were playing together, and then so it's
Mhm.
one of those things where and then I don't know what happened, but then we quit playing and we still need
She was like, "F this game, Jesus, what are we doing with with our time?" Like,
but we're like we played Horde and stuff on it, and I like it more than Horde mode in 4.
yeah, yeah, and I played a lot of four Horde.
Dude, I played a lot of 3.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I put like 600 hours of Horde mode into 3.
Woo! Jeez. Oh, it's funny though because me and Robbie were playing with Chase Christensen one night, who's a friend of the show, Chase Christensen, and we it was the first time either one of us had played Horde in 5. For some reason, like I'd beaten the game by that point, I just never had gone to Horde mode yet for whatever reason, and and it was funny because Chase obviously had been playing Horde mode either 5 or 4, but way more recently than Robbie and I, and we were just like for the first probably 20 rounds just plodding along, killing things like oh wait, how does this work again? Wait, where am I dropping this? Wait, do I want this? Do I want this barbed wire over here? And meanwhile, Chase is just like flying around. It's like, I just got it. Just don't worry about it. Just throwing out shit all over the place. Like, oh, you want to go over here? Get that. You want to go over here? Heal there. Get ammo's over here. Just come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. And we eventually got to where we were decent again, but it was just hilarious. Like I could tell we were killing Chase for the first part of that game because it was just like, God, you guys like suck.
It's
Just
like
keep up.
wait. wave 2 and you're both down, and he's like,
Yeah,
God
yeah.
damn it, you pick you up.
It's like, what did I get myself into? Ugh.
Dude, I have a funny story with Gears 3 because we had the Kinect on the with the
Mm.
360, and it's like I only ever really used it for Skyrim because you can like do shouts or like
Oh
sort
yeah, yeah.
inventory. You can do special things with the Kinect that you couldn't do normally in the game. And so that's the only time I'd ever really use it. And I guess the Kinect was on and I didn't know it. And we were playing Horde online with just a bunch of random people, and we're like sitting there, and this one dude kept like getting down, and I was like, God, I was like, dude, this person fucking sucks. Like, I'm like, why is he on our team? And then all of a sudden he's like, sorry man, like this is my first time playing, and I'm
Oh
all,
no.
and you could hear him through the TV because we weren't wearing headsets or anything.
Oh
And and
no.
Megan like looks at me and she's like, "Can he hear us right now?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she like got up and ripped the Connect out of the wall and was
Oh,
like,
that's
"God damn
hilarious.
it!"
That
And
is
I'm like,
hilarious.
and she's like, "Are you shit?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize." I felt so bad because I didn't realize people could hear me yelling at them. I was like, "This person sucks, man! Like, what are you doing?"
And it's like it was like, I'm trying my hardest, guys.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I was like 13, and I just felt awful at that
Uh,
moment. Man, oh my.
that's really funny though. I like that. Can he hear us? So funny Connect story. Did you ever play the Connect Adventures game?
I think, cause yeah, I think it came with the Kinect, so I think I
Yeah.
did, but I don't really remember it very well.
So in our old apartment, which was right next door to one of our favorite bars, which was very convenient, we were I was hanging out one morning and we had just gotten the Connect, I think, with Connect Adventures, and one of my friends had come over because we were going to go to a baseball game, and we were taking the train, so I was sitting there getting our train beverages rearranged so we could, go to the train station. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to try this game." He proceeds to jump up and down because one of them was like you jump on a raft or something, but the
Yeah, it's
faster
like
you jump, the
river rafting.
yeah, yeah. So he goes off a jump and jumps and totally like bails into a glass table that we had in our living room, and like it 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 wasn't awful, but it could have been real bad. Like it was one of those things where it was like, oh, that sucks, but holy shit, like at least we're not going to a hospital because man, that was like 2 inches away from being potentially tragic. Um, and kind of similar thing, the Kinect didn't get used much at my house after that. It was, just one of those times where I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, probably shouldn't have a glass table and probably
Yeah.
not so close to something like that. So,
It's like one of those things where it's like as a kid, you're like throwing the ball around in the house and then it hits a window and then your
yeah,
dad looks at you and you're like, "All right, now we're done."
yeah, yeah. You're like, so we're done, right? We're done. We're good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it was a learning experience for all of us in a lot of ways. That was fun though. It was a fun game while it lasted. It just didn't get played much after that. But yes, that was the golden era of that apartment where you go to the bar and get nice and lubed up, and then come home and play Rock Band for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Those times. The plastic instrument era. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You have a couple drinks with your buddies and then try and do through the fire and flames on expert.
Right? Yeah. No. Totally. It was. What was? Okay. So what was your one song that, like, for whatever reason, just messed you up?
I
Because everyone
mean,
has the one, and there's obviously the super hard songs,
yeah.
but like, but I'll give you my example. So for me, I play drums, and I wasn't great, but I could do most songs pretty well on like a pro level. Like not the expert level, but the one down from me. I could finish basically every song, except fucking "Crush with Eyeliner" by REM. For whatever reason, like that song was just the biggest mental block for me. I couldn't do it. I literally could not get my feet and hands to do the right things. It killed me. I would play that song so much to try to like figure it out, and I could not do it. It was insane.
Like besides like the hard songs, the one that because it was one of those where it's like, yeah, you'd play at parties and stuff.
Mm.
And the one besides Through the Fire and Flames, which I originally liked that song, and then after Guitar Hero, it made me
Yeah,
hate it.
right,
And
totally.
the other song that like I had that problem with was fucking Freebird. Because
Oh,
at
really?
parties, because it's like 10 minutes long. And at
Yeah,
parties,
yeah.
you want to play, and you're sitting there for fucking 10 minutes while this person's stumbling through Freebird. And I'm like,
Well,
why? Like, no. And then that was like a house rule. I'm like, no picking Through the Fire and Flames and no picking Freebird because people want to play, and then people are getting pissed that they like, oh, well, I'll come back. And then
yeah.
6 minutes later, you're still playing.
You're
I'm like,
you're
stop.
just getting to the solo. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's Freebird was awful. But yeah, no, it was just weird to me that I had this like insane mental block for fucking Crush with Eyeliner, like or whatever it was. Yeah, was it Crush with Eyeliner? Or it might have been Orange Crush. Orange Crush was the song. Crush with Eyeliner is another REM song, but no, it was Orange Crush. It was just
Yeah, it
insane.
was like on Guitar Hero 3, the two songs that I like played the most were Can't Be Saved by Census Fail
Mm-hmm.
and the Super Bus song.
Super Buzz. I
That
don't
was
remember.
the band. I don't remember what the song
Uh,
is actually called.
I used to play the hell out of My Chemical Romance's Dead on 2. That was a
Yeah,
great. That was
yeah.
fun as hell to play. That was just like super fun.
And it was only on the 360 one too.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
mean, I just had that version, but I didn't know that that was an exclusive. That's funny.
Well, it's funny too because I remember Guitar Hero 1 where it was like they didn't actually have the rights to the songs and stuff, so it was
Oh
just like
yeah,
covers.
yeah. It was like everything was as performed by. It was an
Yeah,
actual. Yeah,
you'd play Fat Lip, and I'm like, this is obviously not some 41.
right, right, exactly. Um, the well, see, so I grew up in the Bay Area, and the Sunnyvale Golfland was a testing ground for Capcom and for their arcade machines. It was like a Midway and Capcom testing ground. So they always had these arcade machines that no one else had, and and as as far as fighting games and everything else goes, but they also had all of the like crazy Korean like music games. Yeah,
Oh, like Pump It Up, I think it's called.
it was
Because there's Dance Dance Revolution, and then
yeah.
there's the Korean one where it's instead of where it's the cross, it's like the
Yep,
corners.
yep, yep. And then they had the one that was like you'd move your hands up over and around something. There were sensors that came out, so it was like basically doing glow stick hand dancing, but a
Yeah.
game. And then like the taiko drumming one, and then the Guitar Freaks, and like the DJ game and all that. Like so, yeah, we used to go and do that all the time, and then that was like stupid fun. I actually went down a dark rabbit hole of like trying to find one of those arcade machines at one point, and let me tell you, you can spend a lot of money doing that. You can spend a lot of money. Those things start at like 2 grand, and none of them work. So then you need to find all the parts and pieces for them, and they have a million different parts and pieces. So
Well, that's fine. That was like one of the other party games when someone would bring their PlayStation 2 with Dance Dance Revolution, and
oh
they
yeah,
had the like the shitty squishy dance pad,
oh
but
yeah,
then they also had the hard, the fucking nice dance pad one. That's the
yeah,
one they
yeah.
would use, and you'd get stuck with the shitty squish one.
That's like sliding across the floor as you're trying to do it and everything, and yeah,
Yeah, like stepping next to the actual button that's like sewn into it and stuff.
exactly. It's like the old NES Power Pad.
Yeah. And the song was Radio Song by Superbus. That's the
Ah,
song name was Radio Song.
I'm gonna have to listen to that. I don't remember it by name, but I'm gonna have to check it out later. The but yeah, I don't know how we got on plastic instrument games, but man, I love that shit. Think it's time for a comeback? Think we'll get any more of that ever, or is
See,
that just dead and gone?
uh, like I think it would really have to push the band like because they tried so hard with Guitar Hero, but it's like Guitar Hero saturated the market and
Mm-hmm.
then they like tried to bring it back, but I just don't think it was like innovative enough to really push. Like that time had passed, people still have plastic instruments. I still have
Yeah.
Guitar Hero controllers in my fucking guest bedroom closet still.
I've got a whole set of Rock Band instruments in my garage.
Exactly.
Yeah. But at the same time, like I'd be down. Yeah, I'm sure it's licensing hell to get all the music and
Yeah,
everything,
I
and
think that's a big issue too.
but at like the same time, I would totally be down for a proper like release just Rock Band and have it be Rock Band 1 through 4 with a guitar. Don't even worry about the rest of it. Just here's a guitar and here's all the songs and like go and have it be Bluetooth and work all nice and pretty with the new systems. But
Well, see, and actually, now that I think about it, really, because I was like, for Guitar Hero, whatever, like I was saying how it had to be more innovative. Beat Saber's the one that did it.
yeah,
Like Beat
yeah, that's
Saber's the
true.
one that like reinvented the rhythm game and like pushed it to the next level for VR, and that was like the new Guitar Hero basically of VR.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And then what was the game that just came out with like a Beat Saber type mode that was random? It was
Oh,
like a
the
Nintendo game.
Ring Fit Adventure.
Yeah, Ring Fit Adventure's doing that now. So
And
maybe.
see, uh, for next week's podcast, I probably will have because I do want to try it out, and
Hmm.
like my back's kind of fucked up at the moment, but since it only uses the actual ring part, it should be pretty easy to do. So
Okay.
I'll probably check it out, and that'll be one of my besides Animal Crossing to report on. That'll be one of my other games to talk about.
Yeah, I'm very jealous, by the way, that you have a Ring Fit because I want one, and they're impossible. Like you cannot get them.
Dude, just switches in general, you can't get
Yeah.
right now. I read an article the other day that there's like a retailer in Japan who only had like 130 units, and
Mhm.
they were going to do a lottery for the 130 because demand was so high, and they
Wow.
had over 200,000 people put
Shit.
in, and it's like because all the factories, are just messed up right now that
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
supply and demand's out of whack, and then you had all the people who are like sitting on switches scalping them on eBay and Amazon and shit
That's
because
crazy.
people want them.
Yeah. That's wow. 200,000. That's insane. Um. Yeah. Man, that's crazy. Well, you gotta imagine so like China's starting to open up a little again and stuff. So once things get up and running, you gotta think supply chains will become filled. But yeah,
Right.
it's a time now where I hope you ain't looking for one because they're not out there. But
Yeah, you
who
see them
knows?
on like Amazon, and there's like a stack of 10 of them, and they're like Ring Fit Adventure 120. I'm like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
right, right. The Though I'll tell you, I've decided I need a better investing strategy because I think Lego is a better way to invest. Because my son, so he got way into the Jurassic Park Lego sets,
uh-huh.
and I had put a bunch of them around Christmas time. I put a bunch of them on his wish list on Amazon just for myself, so I could go back to it later for his birthday or whatever. And I was looking at the wish list this last week, and every single one of those sets is in the triple digits, and all of them were like $40, $50, before Christmas. But they're all out of print now, so every single one of
Mm.
them is over $100. And I'm like, why am I? I should just go at Christmas time and buy Legos, and then hold them for 6 months, and then sell them for double. Like, why am I not doing that? It's just double your money the easy way. Just buy Lego sets.
Well, yeah, that's like what people were doing with the Star Wars ones with like the X-wing and the Death Star and stuff. People
Yeah,
were like sitting on them, and then once they're like out of print, people were like selling them online for fucking like 4 digits.
and I feel like a jackass. I should have been doing this. Like, how am I not doing this? It's
I
like,
don't I don't have a lot of regrets in my life, but selling
mm-hmm,
my Legos to a family friend for
mm,
like 100, like all my like tubs of Legos for like $120 or something like that. I like look back on it now and I'm like, yeah, that was not worth it. I should have, but
oh,
that was a lot of money when you're like 10, 12.
right, right.
uh,
But
Like,
that's it.
man,
That's the exact reason I've never sold my insane amount of Magic cards that I have.
Hmm.
It's just one of those like, I spent a lot of time collecting those. And even though I don't play with them often, I would be super bummed if I didn't have just access to them, you know? Like, I still like looking at them every now and then. I'll peruse, I'll go through the collection. And if I just got rid of them all, like, I would bum me out, I think.
Well, see, that's what pisses me off. I have my Pokemon cards still,
Mm.
but it's not all of them. Like, I don't know what happened because I know we sold a lot of them and stuff, but it's like I had a Charizard, an original Charizard at one point, but it's gone. I don't know what happened to it, but I still
I
have.
still have an original Charizard, by the way.
Damn. I mean,
Uh,
it's been reprinted to hell. It's not worth like
Yeah.
anything what it used to be, but
So when Pokemon first came out, I'll give you a little backstory as to why I have that. Uh, hold on a second. I'm getting told goodnight. Good night, baby. Um, so when Pokemon first came out, I was a stockroom manager at a local chain called Gamekeeper, and we sold Pokemon cards. And we were like the only chain around that sold Pokemon cards. And this was at a time when like the best place to get Pokemon cards was like Japantown, you
hmm.
know, in San Francisco. And so we would have people like store owners from Japantown come to our store, and they knew like when our shipment days were and buy boxes of them so they could take them back to their stores and sell them and stuff like that. But because of that, we just had Pokemon cards like around the store all the time. People were playing the game, we were hosting tournaments, doing all that sort of stuff. And uh, at one point, a kid was getting out of Pokemon and into Magic. And I had a bunch of Magic cards because we also had Magic games like that would happen in the store and all that. And I had a whole deck that I had put together, and it was like one of those system type decks where um, you needed like 4 or 5 cards on the table, but then it was basically an I win deck.
Okay.
It was one of those like once I have all the pieces in play, it's like I sacrifice this to this to this to drain 4 life to give me this to do this to this to this, and then like you
Yeah, it
could
was
just
like a combo deck.
yeah, it's like you could just get it going. And this one kid was fascinated by it, and he traded me a Charizard for the whole deck. And at the time, the Charizard was probably worth $60 or something like that. Like it wasn't insanely rare at that point, but that whole deck was probably worth like $20. And
Mhm.
I tried to talk him out of it. I'm like, nah, man, you don't want to do that. Like, keep your card. Like, it's all right. It's good. He was persistent for like a week. He came into the store like every time I worked and would ask if he could buy the deck or trade for the deck, trade for the deck, trade for. Finally, I was just like, fine, just take it. Like, because I also had enough that I could just make it again. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't, you know. So I was like,
Drop the
fine,
$20 to
yeah,
rebuild.
yeah, totally. I just had that many cards, so it was just like, yeah, I can just make another deck. It's fine. So finally, I just traded him the deck, sleeves and all, and he gave me the Charizard. So that's how I came to possess that Charizard card. And actually, I totally forgotten about it until I was digging through my attic a couple weeks ago and like found that binder. I'm like, oh shit, I still have that Charizard.
Dude, well, that's like I remember when the card game did come out. I mean, I know you were probably like,
I
how
was
old were you when the card game came out?
20, 19, 20, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, I was, because it came out. What year did it come out? Like
9?
98? Yeah, I was gonna say like 98, 99,
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, I was like 8 or 9 then. And at Metro Center Mall, the day that card game came out, it was packed because my mom worked. She was the manager at a watch shop at
Mm.
Metro Center, and that day the mall was insane. Like they had tables like all on the bottom floor, just like rows of like yard sale tables, and
Yeah, yeah.
everyone was just playing cards. And there was like at that time at Metro Center, there was maybe like 2 or 3 different like kind of board. Well, there was like Babbage's, which sold
Hmm.
video games, but they also sold Pokemon cards. And
Yeah,
then there was
yeah.
like an actual like board game store, and then like another one. So there was like 2 or 3 stores that were actually selling Pokemon cards that had lines
Oh,
like out
jeez.
like out like down like people were having to walk around the lines just trying to go through the mall,
Uh,
and kids were running around everywhere with cards. And I like went to my with my mom to the mall like that day and stuff, and we were waiting in line at Babbage's to get the start. Like bought like all three of the starter decks that came with them and stuff, and
that's
it was
awesome.
nuts.
Yeah, I really enjoy card games. I'm excited because I think my kid is just about old enough to that he could start playing these games for real. You know, he can read at a level now and do enough basic math that I think he could actually play like for realsies. And so that's gonna crack open a whole nerdy can for me the day that happens when I'm
Yep.
like, oh,
Push Magic onto your kid.
oh,
You're like,
oh yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
totally. I'm like, let
And then
me.
you have the excuse to buy more Magic cards and stuff because now it's
I
not
mean,
your hobby, it's his hobby that you do with
I'm
him.
I'm being a good father and supporting my son at that
Yeah,
point. You know, I mean, it's good for him to have these hobbies. Teach him how to read and math and
yeah, math.
horribly addictive. Whatever. It's fine. It's great. But yeah,
How to
just
get wrecked.
yeah, totally. Just have someone in the house that like can share my insanely geeky hobbies would be pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to that day because I can tell you right now, my daughter's not going to be about that life. She's about her dresses and makeup and unicorns, which is fine. That's fine. No one's complaining, but that just means my son's going to get both barrels of it when the time is ready.
Right.
um, but yeah, I guess we're done talking news since we've been talking everything else. We so before we get into the Mike Miller Animal Crossing segment, uh, I should tell you guys that I got through Murder by Numbers. That game still is awesome.
You beat
The,
it?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, the ending was dope? I still need to go back and finish it.
yeah. The ending's pretty dope. That last case goes forever
Oh
though.
man.
Like, because you get four cases. Case one, two, three. I would say each one, including the puzzles, is 3 to 4 hours, something like that. If you're working through the clues and the puzzles, case four is like a double case in a lot of ways. So you hit a point where you totally think it's going to wrap up, and you're like, "Oh, cool! I like figured it out." And this thing took a weird turn, and all right, we solved what the weird turn meant, and here we go. And as soon as you do that, you're back at the police station, and it's like, "Oh wait, nope, that wasn't the weird turn at all." Because by the way, remember these threads that didn't get tied up? Here they are again. Woo! And you're off and running again, and so now it hits a point where for the next probably 4 or 5 puzzles, I really didn't know where the story was going all that much because they left it where it was like, okay, it could go here, it could go there, like it could take a couple turns, and then it wraps up really cool. Like I like the story a lot. I won't spoil it here for you, but it's totally worth seeing. Just know that that last case goes for a while, like, and it's worth it. It's cool. It's fun, but like you're gonna hit a point where you feel like it wraps up, and that's not it, like at all. But no, that game is stupid fun. I love the look of it. I I think the music for what it is great. It's one of the best designed soundtracks for a puzzle game. Like it's a special kind of soundtrack when you are playing a puzzle and are stuck on it, and you are stuck on that same damn puzzle for a half hour for the soundtrack to not end up killing you. Like to hit the point where like I have to mute this fucking thing. I can't listen to this soundtrack anymore while I'm just staring at this. For that not to happen is pretty impressive, and I don't ever remember hitting that point in this game ever. Like it stays pretty upbeat and it moves good, and sure it repeats, but like not to a point where it's insanely noticeable and you just have to shut it off because that's all you can focus on now. Um, but no, it's really fun. It's under $20. I can't if you like those games if you like nonary games at all, it's an automatic buy. And if you like Phoenix Wright at all, it's an automatic buy. It's great. It's really really good. But other than that, Justin, shall we?
I was born ready.
All right. So last week we said, the warning was given that the potential was there for me to come on and spew pure hatred about the stock market on these airwaves. And I am here to tell you there's a lot of hatred for the stock market coming from these airwaves. And I got so hosed by that damn system. Like,
So tell me, what did you buy like for the stock market? How much did you invest and like what was your price that you bought at and what was your price that you ended up selling at?
so I bought at 103 and I bought 40K worth. And that was literally all I had at that point. So I bought 40,000 because I was running out of time. And then my high point of the week happened Tuesday, actually, when it hit 158, I want to say, which didn't seem that great to me. And since it was Tuesday, I was like, well, I'll ride this out a little bit. Let's see what happens. By Thursday, it was 96. And I was like, well, that ain't good. Maybe it'll bounce back up here. You know, it's ups and downs. It's going. Uh, Saturday, I was panically texting anyone I knew that was playing to see what their prices were. Everyone's prices sucked. And I ended up selling at, I want to say, 73. So I lost a good 15K in that transaction by the time it was all said and done. Yeah, yeah. So why don't you go ahead and tell the people how your week went in the stock market, Justin? Because I know it was
Well,
a hell of a lot better than mine.
well, I bought in at uh how much did I buy it? I think it was like 91 or 92 bells per thing of turnips and I spent I think about 800,000 I think is how much I invested
Good
into the
lord,
stock
man.
market. Yeah. Well, a lot of that was, my winnings from the last time and stuff.
Okay.
I spent some of it and then tarantula farmed and stuff and got more money back and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So, yeah, so it was like 800,000 and I sold on I'm in this group chat with a bunch of people. Half of us are here in Arizona, the other half are in Michigan. So they're 3 hours ahead and one of the chicks in the group, her price on I think it was like Thursday or something went to like 560 something. So everyone's
Ridiculous.
like, all right, seller's market. And so I sold and ended up with about almost 5.2 million when I was done. So with that money, I was able to pay off my final three mortgages all in a row because I had the 758,000 and I was like, all right, paid. And then he upgraded my house. And the next day it's like, oh, now it's like 1 point whatever. I'm like, cool, paid. And then the next day he's like, all right, well, your final one is like 2 point whatever. I'm like, awesome. I'm like, that's paid. And then I bought some like of the inclines and stuff and then that's why this week I was only able to invest how much did I invest this week? It wasn't a lot for like I bought at 93 turnips and I think I only had maybe like 500 almost 600,000.
Mm.
So, but that's fine cuz like even with I think 600,000 it's like to go to someone else's island to sell, it was like it was like 2 or 3 trips and I'm like any more than that like my friend Chris bought like almost 2 million worth of
Oh,
turnips
jeez.
and I'm like dude that's like 5 trips like to
Yeah.
someone else's island if you're going to I'm like that's annoying for the other person because you have to like sit there and go through
Mm-hmm.
the whole doll flying thing and then you can't have your menu open and then they have to leave and you have to go through the whole leaving
Yeah,
cutscene.
yeah. that seems like a lot. That seems like a lot.
It is. And I do want to bring up, so uh Chris didn't get in at the with the chick who sold. He went to someone else's island and sold for like at 600 and something. Like someone online or whatever posted the thing that they
Mm-hmm.
had. And so people are doing that now where they'll post their, if you have a good turnip price, they'll throw up codes or do whatever for people to come. And some people actually charge for you to come to their island. So,
Are you
and that's what
serious?
Chris had to, yeah. So Chris had to pay 500,000 bells per trip to sell at this person's island. So
What?
he made a bunch of money, but he lost 1.5 million bells just for coming to this person's island. So I just want to say, like, don't be a piece of shit. Like, that's a pretty fucked. Like some people, like, like I know, like in our little group, nobody charges for you to come to their island. But if you're like making couple trips, and stuff like that, and the person's nice enough to leave their gate open for you to keep coming in and
Mm-hmm.
out, like, and you're making a lot of money, like you can drop them a tip like in front of their house or something. If you
Totally.
want to drop them like 100,000, or like for me, I didn't give money, but the chick who I sold, like I had a set of the cool tools or whatever, like the
Mm-hmm.
nicer tools. I dropped like the net, fishing rod, whatever the other one was, for her as like a thank you. So, but it's like, don't like gouge fucking people to like, if you're offering your shit online for people to come sell, like, don't be a piece of shit and like gouge people for coming to your island that you're like willingly like throwing it out there like, hey, come to my island. I got the Oh, by the way, I'm gonna charge you an arm and a leg for this. Like, I know some people wanted iron and stuff like that. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
fine because that's easily like obtainable to get some iron, like drop like 20 ignits or whatever of iron, but don't like
I don't know.
hype
I
people.
might I might request gold nuggets because I want that mech, the big mech, and you need the gold suit to or gold armor suit to make it. So
Yeah,
I'm on one.
how many do you have?
I think I got 4 or 5, something like
Wow,
that.
dude, I only have two. I just
Yeah.
got my second one the other day from a balloon, and I was like super excited about it.
So I've had pretty bad luck with Nook Islands as far as like flora and fauna go, but I've had I've gotten I think I got my fifth yesterday. I've got 5 gold nuggets, and they've all come from just going to Nook Islands and hitting them. Like, but like because my wife hit like Snapping Turtle Island last night. She got like 4 or 5 snapping turtles from an island, which was crazy.
Nice.
And she's gotten like she's found a tarantula island, and my son hit one. Like he's up to 4 oarfish now. Like he's caught 4 oarfish, which are insane.
Have you been to the Money Rock Island?
I have not seen Money Rock Island.
Yeah, where it's like a giant round island, and then it's like in the round island, and then there's a huge body of water in the middle with like a
Uh-huh.
small island with like 4 or 5 rocks on it.
Okay.
And it's like the only way, you can't just use your pole to get across because it's too wide. So
Okay.
there's one spot where you have to like break the rock, and then that little extra space is enough for you to pole vault into the middle, and then all
Oh.
all 5 rocks in the middle are all money rocks.
Oh, that's
And
sweet.
then you just sit there and just like bang on all the rocks, and then just walk away with a few 100,000 bells and stuff when it's all said and done.
That's awesome. That's a good one. It's a good one to keep an eye out for sure. And then like see, like I get super jealous of my family because like they find all the cool shit. Like my wife found like Water Bug Island, where it was just like small pools that were just teeming with water bugs. She walked out of there with like 30 of them or something like that, and it was just like it's like I'm sitting here pulling eggs and fucking bass. Like come on, what am I doing?
I was like, I was so, because I've been pissed because in my Facebook group, two people are like posting all the cool, like, I caught a shark, and like,
Mm-hmm.
I caught like this and this, and I hadn't caught a single like big fish, like a large, like impressive looking fish. and I was getting pissed because I'm like, dude, like I've like, oh, well, use bait and do that. And it's like I have. It is like I haven't caught anything cool. And then finally today, I mean, it wasn't like one of the like really like expensive nice fish and stuff, but I
Yeah.
caught a giant tuna though.
Oh, sweet.
And that was my first large fish that I caught. So I was very excited when I saw it come out of the water. I was like, yes, I
Did you get
finally
it? Did you get it off the pier or?
yeah, I caught it. I did bait off the pier, and I used bait again. I had another large shadow, and I was like, dude, it's
Uh-huh.
gonna be another big fish. I don't know what the fuck happened. Like it bobbed. I hit A, and then like instead of
It
doing the
goes
what,
away, right?
yeah, it went away. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's happened to me so many times, and I'm like, did I just not hit A fast enough? But like, I was on it.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
understand.
so
Yeah,
upset. I was like, man, that was gonna be a good one. I
I
know
know.
it.
I know. Every time that happens, I'm like, there was my oarfish. Because my son like rubs it in my face every day. Like, I caught oarfish and you didn't. Like, So the competition fires are getting stoked over here. We gotta even up these tables. Um, what are you? Anything coming out that you're looking forward to playing? Or
I'm trying to think. Like I still have such like I have a backlog of shit on my
yeah,
Switch to play too. Like a bunch of indie games and just stuff like that. Like that's probably one of the other games I want to check out too. Is that I think we talked about it on one of the other podcasts. The like Good Job, where
yeah,
it's like Good
yeah.
Job. So
Good
like
job.
I want to
Yeah.
that's one of the next ones I want to check out. And it's like game wise coming out like it's hard because it's like there was stuff that it's like I was looking forward to and stuff like I mean I was looking forward to The Last of Us 2 and it's like I
hmm
know that got pushed and it's like I do want to play Resident Evil 3 but I still need to play Resident Evil 2 like it's
Oh,
still I
Resident Evil
know
2 is so good.
I know
Oh,
well it's like in the packaging still but it's like I want to play Resident Evil 2 but I want to finish playing Resident Evil 7 first
oh,
I know.
Justin,
I'm a
Justin,
piece
you're
of shit,
killing me.
Zach. You know this.
You're
I'm an
killing me.
awful person. I'm like half
Oh,
I'm like halfway done through Resident Evil 7 too. I've taken out like half the family. I think I only have like the brother left. I took out dad and mom and I think I just have
yeah.
like the brother and I'm like, man.
Brother's a good one because it's like Saw. It's a cool. They
Dude,
kind of.
the mom was terrifying.
Oh,
Like
in the back house. Yeah.
yeah, that was terrifying because I was so low on ammo. Like I had
hmm
no ammo and she's skittering around like in and out of the house through the
Yep.
windows and shit and is like on the ceiling and I'm like down like pistol ammo and I'm like please I need more ammo. I'm running out. I'm like trying to like stab her and stuff when she gets close.
That you're killing me though. That's such a great game. Though I will say with Resident Evil 7, you've probably played through the best parts of it because that game turns into it goes from a good horror game to a Resident Evil game in the last like third of it, and it it kind of falls apart for me there because when that game starts, it's rad. Like it's one of those like, okay, this isn't really Resident Evil, but I am all fucking in. This is great. Like this is so good, and and when they start to make it a Resident Evil game at the end of it, it's like, oh, but oh, don't do that. Oh, I don't care about Umbrella and all this. Don't no. Um, and it kind of lost the thread for me a little bit. But that being said, it's still one of my favorite Resident Evil games ever. Like they just really outside the boxed it and came up with something really neat.
Well, it definitely had for like a game that like scared me.
Mm.
It made me scream at one part because I was playing in the dark
Oh
and
yeah.
like the two most recent games I can think of that happened to me was when I was playing Outlast, the first
Mm-hmm.
one, and then Resident Evil 7 and it's where I'm playing in the dark, like it's just me in the living room and I'm
Mm-hmm.
walking and it's like you had to go upstairs to do something and it was the part where you're like walking past the stairs and there's that doorway under the stairs and as I walk past it that dude grabs you and cuts your hand off and it
Yep.
scared the ever loving shit out of me because I was not ready for it and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's just like And I was like, oh my God. And I like yelled and I like scared. Like Megan was in the bedroom. She's like, what the fuck? What happened? I'm like, oh, dude. I'm like, this dude cut my hand off. It scared the crap out of me.
She smacked you in the back of the head and is like, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. And with Outlast, I was playing it again in my bedroom, lights off. I had headphones on,
Mhm.
and it was where you're like in the basement and you have to like flip the generator back on, and the basement's flooded. And it's like as you're trudging through the water, you can hear it, and then you stop moving, and it's like you can hear someone else like moving
Yep.
behind you, and
Yep.
it stops, and you're like looking, and there's nothing there, and I'm like, God damn it. And then so I go and I flip the generator on, and then it's like as soon as you turn around, that thing is right
Right
there,
there.
and it
Yep.
scared the crap out of me.
As soon as you said trudging through the water, I'm like, I know exactly where you're going with
Yeah,
this. Yep,
I was
yep,
like,
that
the
was a
sound
moment.
design in that game is so good, and I'm
So
like,
good. Well, that's and it's amazing when you get good sound design in horror. It makes all the difference. Like it turned Dead Space from a fun game to one of my all-time favorites. Just the sound design in that game, like it's insane how
yeah.
good it is. Uh, yeah. Oh wait, we totally forgot the other news story I wanted to talk about. That Capcom has confirmed they're remaking Resident Evil 4, and it's coming out in 2022 apparently. Your thoughts? Are you an RE4 person or?
So I do love RE4, and I think it's gonna be because it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, it is an older game,
Mhm.
but it's still like more modernized compared to like the other
Yeah,
ones in terms of like when it came out, and it's been re-released on everything at this point. So I'm kind of interested to see what they kind of do to like push it.
totally. I'd
Like,
be down for a full remake. Like they're doing with 2 and 3,
mhm.
like whole new engine. That's if they want to mess with the camera and all that, I'm down. Um, I just hope they don't change the little Spanish Lord dude too much because he's like my favorite character in all of the RE4 or Resident Evil universe. I love that dude. Like,
Yeah, one of the things I'm hoping, of course, they make like the AI for the president's daughter a little bit better.
yeah. Now, see that? Okay, actually, I mean, you're joking, but that would be a great change to the game. Is if you took Ashley and made her own like
Made her useful.
yeah. What's I'm totally blanking on Bioshock Infinite. The girl, what's her name?
Oh, Anna? Is
No,
that it? Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
Made her more like Elizabeth, where she's helpful in the universe. Like you
Yeah.
don't when you're Booker, you're not spending your game time protecting Elizabeth. She's fine. Like she can handle her biz. And it'd be nice if they treated her more in that regard as like someone that helps you out as you're working your way through, and less like hide in a dumpster while I kill all these people. Man, we'll
Right.
see.
Or she can like pick up ammo for you or like do
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah, something rather than just. Though I did love how they like solved that with the areas that have the regenerators and stuff. You're like, get in this trash can. Just don't move. Just
Yeah.
stay here. You're
Yeah.
fine.
She's like, Leon!
Oh, that voice was the worst.
Yeah.
Um, the though you want to talk scary moments. That first time you come across the regenerators in RE4, that was a good one. It's You're like, oh, I'm gonna pump these like pop 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 pop. Oh, dropped him. Okay. Oh wait, he's getting up. Oh crap. Okay.
Well, that's funny because I was like, RE4 is one of the other ones where I had a oh shit and screamed moment
Mm-hmm.
where when I first played RE4, I played it on the Wii and I had like the little
Which by the
Wii.
way is which by the way is the best version of that game. Like the Wii RE4 is great. It is so
Yes,
good.
it is. And I had like the little Wii gun and stuff that the controller could like go
Mm-hmm.
into and like so you
Mm-hmm.
can hold it. And I was playing at night in my room and I ended up pissing my mom off because I yelled and she of course came like running and so I'm like playing it's like school night and it's like
Yeah,
10
yeah,
at
yeah.
night and I'm in there and I went into because that they still had typewriters and stuff
Mm-hmm.
in 4, and there was one like the little almost kind of outhouse looking thing, and there was you could see the typewriter there. So I'm like, oh cool. So I went in and saved, and it's like behind the door was a zombie in that room just waiting for you.
Oh,
And
jeez.
then it was like as soon as I saved, turned around, and there he is, and I was like, ah, and like was like wiggling everywhere, just like boom, 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 like shooting everywhere. And my mom came in and was like, she's like, "Are you still up?" And I'm like, "No, like I had to go to bed."
Are you still? Nope, nope, not at all.
No.
It's just
Yeah, you hear her coming, like turning the TV off and like jump in the bed real quick.
right. That's great. And you're like now full of adrenaline, just laying there
Yeah,
wide
my
awake.
palms are all sweaty.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, quick aside, but the which by the way, the show has been nothing but quick asides. But uh the Resident Evil 4 and the Silent Hill Wii game was great. Was it Shattered Memories?
Yes.
I mean,
So,
not a console you consider for like horror games, but those were two really good ones.
yeah. So I was like, I'm a huge Silent Hill fan,
Mm-hmm.
and I did like I did not like the running away parts in Shattered Memories. I thought was annoying,
Sure.
but besides that, like the story for Shattered
Mm-hmm.
Memories, like
Mm-hmm.
the ending of Shattered Memories
Mm-hmm.
made the game
Yes.
for me. And that revelation, like when you get to the light, I think it was a lighthouse or like whatever, you get to the
Yeah, that
building and
like
like
tower. Yeah.
yeah, and then you like everything gets pieced together to like what is happening, and I was like, huh. And it
And how they roll in that like psych exam you take at the beginning of the
yeah,
game. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I was like, man, that's good. I was like, yeah, that's one of those ones where it's like as the credits rolling, you're just kind of sitting there and you're like, that was satisfying.
Very. Yeah, I would put Shattered Memories as like maybe the second best story after two in all the Silent Hill games.
That's
It's up there. It's
And
good.
it's funny, the only original Xbox game that I actually own because I didn't have an original
Mhm.
Xbox, but it was backwards compatible with the 360, is Silent Hill 4 The Room.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
people hate that game. Like people will say that is the worst Silent Hill game, but it's one of those
Yeah.
where it's like even though it's not the best because it's not Silent Hill 2, I love it. It's like I think it's like to me it's I put it like above 3, and like I'd
See,
put it above like Homecoming and like some of like the later ones.
yeah, because I'm kind of with you where I'd probably put Homecoming at the bottom,
Mhm.
and then three, and then one, and then Shattered Memories, and then two would probably
Did
be my list.
did you play Downpour?
No, no, I never played Downpour.
See, I really like Downpour too. Like
Okay,
Downpour is up there. I'd say Downpour for me is probably like top 3. Like I'd probably
okay,
put because the thing I liked about the room was even though like gameplay wise, I think it was like a little weaker than some of the others. Like
hmm
the storytelling wise of being locked in the room and then like waking up and then it's like the hole in your bathroom is just getting like bigger and bigger.
yeah.
It's just the ominousness of it, and then the letter like sliding under the door and like someone's talking to you through the other side of the door and you're having to like walk around like you wake up in your apartment and things are different, and I was like that's fucking creepy like that.
Super
I would be
creepy. Yeah,
genuinely scared waking up and it's like everything's like moved around and not what it was like the day before.
yeah. No, I those games are. That's one of those things I'd love for them to come out with like a Silent Hill collection, like kind of just a remastered collection of the all of them. Like,
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
it's like they did that for 2 and 3 and they did a shitty job of it.
I know. Like I, I, I mean, it's Konami, and Konami's very different now. They make pachinko machines and not video games. But I would love to see them do what Capcom's doing with Resident Evil with Silent Hill. Like, just give
Seriously.
give me the full rebuild, the whole 9 yards. Like let's
Yep,
go
I'm
from
like
one.
yep,
I'm
start
good.
from 1 and then you can do 0 and
Yep,
fucking
yep.
2, 3, 4.
And I mean, that first Silent Hill was one of those games that like genuinely kind of broke my mind a little bit when you finally got to the ending and all that. It was just like it was an experience I hadn't had in a game before then, of just like that really twisted in on itself storytelling and kind of just like blowing your mind with revelations and all that. And by the time 2 came around, I was more prepared for it. But 2 was a way stronger story. Like, one story was good in in the M Night Shyamalan crazy twist
Yeah.
way, but it wasn't that great of a story actually. Two had it. 2 stuck the landing really well. Like,
Yeah.
especially when you start piecing together like what Pyramid Head actually is and represents in that world and everything, and it's just like, oh, this got really bad. Like, this gets really twisted.
Dude, and that's what's sad though too, is like Silent Hill 1 did not age well at all.
Yeah,
Like if you go
yeah,
back to it's
yeah,
like pretty much unplayable like now with how it looks.
yeah. It's super rough, super rough. But I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll get saved someday by Konami either selling the rights or something. But
I was like, please just give it back to Kojima and let
right.
him make it.
Or like, they're like that one rumor that turned out to not be true, but like sell it to Sony. Sell it, like just sell that property to someone and let them work some
Ooh.
magic on it.
Yeah, dude, I was like, bring on the Red Barrel, the Outlast people, bring them on and let them have a
Yeah.
crack at the Silent Hill franchise.
Yeah. Or like the Soma team or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. I'd be all about that. Well, we have droned on for a long time now, considering it's just the two of us. So we should probably wrap it up. But okay, so I guess Shannon is not here, so I will do the outro. So hey guys, thanks for listening. If you stuck out with us during all our ramblings of Animal Crossing and Silent Hill and other various topics, height, hair, everything else that we've gone through tonight. If you could give us a follow, you go ahead and get at me, Zakl, Zakl on Twitter, and we have Justin Carter, or no, Justin Time Carter, but that's Cartr for
Yeah.
Carter. And give us a follow at That Pixel Life as well. Get at me. Tell me what you like, what you don't, what you want us to talk about. Are we rambling too much? Do you like the train wreck? Let me know. I like all these things. And I'm not going to bug Justin about negative space this week, but if you'd like to get on Twitter and bug him, feel free.
I was like, funny enough, I actually worked on it
Oh,
this
hey,
weekend.
we have
Yeah,
we have a negative space update. All
I
right.
know. I got a couple new levels done. Uh, not as much as I wanted to, because with Easter and everything going on, but I actually did, boot up Game Maker and get a couple levels done, and it's pretty fun. The one level that I'm pretty much done with it now. It's just like I'm just testing it, but it's pretty funny because in the chapter right now, the whole premise is like you can't jump. Like there's an enemy that prevents you from jumping, and in some levels it's like you can kill the enemy and then regain the ability to jump and like finish out the level. But then some, it's like the enemy's tucked away to where you can never reach it. So it's like the whole level you just have to not jump. And that's what this one is. And it's basically like a descending staircase, but with spikes everywhere. And you can't jump. So you're basically having to use the momentum of your own body to throw yourself far enough, like around the spikes, and then time switch it. And there's
uh,
cannons blasting at you while this is happening. And
uh,
they switch in and out too. So you're like having to keep track of that while not being able to. If you could jump, it'd be pretty easy to get through the level, but since you can't jump, you have to just move diligently down the stairs. And some, it's like you have to skip a step because it doesn't switch, so you have to just like completely skip a step into another step and then like get your way down to the exit. But it's pretty funny.
this is making me angry just like trying to picture it in my brain. Like I'm like already frustrated listening to this. Oh man, that's brutal. But I can't wait to play it at some point though.
I know. I'm like I'm still working on it. I know I need to harass my guy who does the music too, but I'm like waiting to finish the world that I'm working on, and then I can be like, all right, this world's done. Give me the music for it, and
Yeah.
then that way I can be like a world ahead instead of him working on the music while I'm working on the same level.
That way you can get a little more streamlined, optimized processing, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah, see, we had an actual negative space
All
update this
right. And it figures Shannon wasn't here for it. So,
I
let
know I'm not looking for I'm with all the I'm sure people listening with the Animal Crossing talk the last couple of weeks. That's going to
mhm.
be switching to Final Fantasy here in a couple,
Yeah.
especially once you get
Yeah.
Robbie on as well, and then him and
Oh, I
Shannon
know.
can rub each other out over Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, buckle up, kids, because it's gonna turn to Midgar around here real soon. So,
Yeah, they're going to be
uh,
talking about who wants to sleep with Cloud, and
the length of their swords and
yeah.
all that stuff. That game is probably gonna be one. The demo was pretty cool, but like, I'm probably not gonna pick that up until I can get it cheap. It's just I was never a big Final Fantasy VII guy, and like, sure, the demo is great, but I don't know. Seems like a lot of money for a game I might like. I don't know. No, we'll see. We'll see. Quarantine is lasting though, so it does seem like a game that will last me a while in quarantine. There is that part of the equation, so we will see. But yes, if you have anything to get at us, let us know. Get at the Facebook group, that facebook.com/that pixel life, and you can get on there and see what memes we're posting, what random stuff we're throwing up on the boards, have video game discussions with us and our other listeners. And Justin, you got anything else?
No, I mean we pretty much covered the broad spectrum of everything. I
Yeah.
did have though, which I thought would be fun to end the podcast on. I wrote
Mm-hmm.
3 questions on these little sticky notes, and I'm gonna line them up like 3 card Monty style here,
Okay.
and you get to
Okay.
pick one, and we will answer them.
All right. Let's see it. Let's go with number 2.
All right, number 2, we got. Let's see here. Let me unfold it here. All right. All right. What is the worst thing you got caught doing as a kid?
Hmm. The worst thing I got. Oh,
Or
that would be when I was first or second grade. I thought it would be really funny to steal a Playboy that was my dad's and bring it to school to show my friends because the whole thing seemed so ridiculous to me, and I thought it was hilarious. That lasted 2 seconds before someone told the teacher that I had a Playboy with me, and yeah, that ended real bad for me. That wasn't
Yeah.
funny. It was not as funny as I thought it would be. But as far as like trouble as a kid, that was probably the most trouble as a kid I was in.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, what about you, Justin?
All right. So for mine, so my parents live in a cul-de-sac, and I used to be friends with. There's the not the house to the right of them, but the house was the house directly across from their house, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd go over there. They had a son, Jacob and stuff, Jake, so we'd hang out and he'd come over to my house, we'd ride bikes, we'd do whatever. So, but he was a lot younger than me. Like by like a couple years, by probably like at least 4 years. But or maybe 3 years. But one night I went over to their house. Jake's dad was asleep on the couch. Their mom wasn't home, and Jake was in the kitchen finger painting.
Mm-hmm.
And I there was this like stuffed Shamu whale thing that was like on the ground, and the ceiling fan was on in that
Okay.
room, and I just like picked it up and tossed the whale into the fan, and it like hit the fan and like launched across the room and like landed on Jake's like finger painting thing, and we thought it was like
Oh no.
funny, so we like covered this whale in finger paint and then tossed it up
Oh.
at the fan. And I mean, this thing
Oh.
was like soaked, like you could squeeze paint out of it. This thing was
Oh
heavy. And
God.
so we were chucking it up at the fan, and it was like hitting like the walls and like the stuff, and we were laughing, and it was so funny, and we kept doing it. Well, eventually, the sound of this stuffed animal filled with paint hitting the wall woke Jake's dad up, and he walked in the room to see what we were doing to find like because all the paint we mixed all the colors so it was brown, so just
Mm-hmm.
brown paint
Oh.
splashed everywhere all over like
Oh
the
my
dining
God.
room, and he was like, "What the fuck?" like yelling,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, all right, well, I'm gonna go home." So
Uh,
I left, and like I like ran home, and my mom's like, "Why are you running?" What I was like, "Oh, no reason." And then about like 2 minutes later, there's a
yeah,
at the
yeah, yeah.
door, and there's Jake's dad just like telling my parents about how I like did this and stuff, and they're like, "Is it true, Justin?" And I was like, "Yeah." And like my
Yeah.
dad offered to like pay because I guess they just bought that ceiling fan too,
Oh
and it
no.
was white, and then now like
Oh
wasn't.
God.
And so my dad offered to like buy them a new ceiling fan and like whatever, and they were like no, like what, but that was the last time I was allowed over at their house.
Oh
That
really?
basically, yeah, that basically in was like one of the nails in the coffin to like we weren't allowed to, I was a bad influence and like we weren't allowed
Oh.
to hang out anymore.
I mean, to be fair, you seem like a pretty bad influence that day.
Yeah,
That day anyway. That day. But oof, that's
yeah.
rough.
I mean ruining personal property. Like
Yeah. And I love that like I love that once the dad was awake, you knew you it was bad.
yeah, like
Like
once
right
I
there.
realized he was mad, I was like, "Oh, I guess this really wasn't as funny as I thought it was."
Yeah. They're like when I was spraying brown paint all over the house, like it was hilarious, but
Yeah, we thought
uh,
it was great.
oof, man, that's rough. All right, well, that's a good story to end the show on. So yes, everyone, thanks for you poor bastard. Thanks for hanging in there with us, and we will be back next week. As Robert Selden Poole will tell you, hey guys, be great
Wash your hands.
and wash your hands. Yes, always, always wash your hands.
Always.